Hello, and welcome back to Invitation to Puzzles, the show where we try to invite you into the exciting world of puzzles and all the various kinds of logic puzzles that exist, both Sudoku and none. Today we are covering our first negative constraint puzzle that we have done. So this is by FullDeck and missing a few cards. And this is a negative constraint XV puzzle, and I'll explain what that means. X's and V's you're meant to think of as Roman numerals. Note V's look kind of like inequalities when you write them this way, but they're just saying that these two cells sum to 5. And X's are saying that these two cells sum to 10. Okay, so that's not the negative constraint. That's just regular XV. But then the negative constraint is the further statement that if two cells sum to 10, then there is an X between them. And if two adjacent cells sum to 5, there is a V between them. So for example, in normal Sudoku, I could make this a 2 and no one would bat an eye. I cannot make this digit a 2 in this puzzle, because if I do, then there would need to be an X between the 2 and the 8. So I suspect you're going to have to make a lot of use as you solve this puzzle out of the fact that you know that all of the X's and V's are given. But you know all you need to solve the puzzle now. So if you want, you can go down to the link and try it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a go. So if you get stuck, or if you just want to watch me do it and see what a negative constraint puzzle is like, by all means, I encourage you to do so. Okay, so I guess at least to start, it's worth noting there's only 2 ways to make 5, which are 2, 3, and 1, 4. And this one has to be 1, 4, because, well, it sees a 2 and a 3. And in fact, the 1 tells me the order of the 1 and the 4. And now this V down here has to be 2, 3 because it doesn't have a 1 on it. Now, I may or may not at some point want to color. This V I also know is 1, 4. For whatever that is worth. Okay, this X is actually forced. And so let me explain what's going on here. So every X has a high digit and a low digit on it. If you just think about it, sort of 5, 5 would be if you split the 10 in half, but you can't split the 10 in half because you can't have a 5 next to a 5 in a Sudoku puzzle. So you make one of them bigger than 5 and one of them smaller than 5. And so quite often when you see an X, it is useful to ask yourself, okay, what is the high digit or what is the low digit on it? And quite often you will know what the answer is. So here, what's the low digit on this? Well, it's not 1, 2, or 3, so it's 4. That means this X is a 4, 6, and the 1, 4 looks down and tells me that's the 6 and that's the 4. We can do the same thing for this X. What's the low digit on it? Well, it's not 1, 2, or 4, so it's 3. So this is 3, 7. Looking like that. Now, what about this? Well, it's not 1, 3, or 4, so this is a 2, 8. And we are almost out of clues, so it's a good thing we have the negative constraint, but it is a good point for me to call out that the negative constraint is relevant now, because this digit can't be a 2. If this digit is a 2, then 2 plus 3 is 5. Would need to have a V, so that's an 8, and that's the 2. Now, I think, just to give you a sense of what we're in for here, I think 3 is placed in this box now, because you can't place the 3 next to the 2, and you can't place the 3 in a column with the 3, and you can't place the 3 in a row with the 3, and you can't place the 3 on top of a 1, on top of a 2, 4, or 6, and ergo that is a 3. So when we're looking for negative constraints, you have to be very careful to notice things like, oh, this 2 is ruling out the 3. And so there's a lot more hidden singles. That is a lot more times when you can ask, where does blah-de-blah go in blah-de-blah? And you find out the answer is, oh, actually, blah-de-blah only goes in one place because blah-de-blah. It's a very common occurrence in these sorts of puzzles. I'm trying to see if we can do a similar thing with 1 and 4 in this box. I think it's pretty close. But I don't think I can quite get there. There's definitely something going on, though. I was about to try and place 3 in row 1 by saying it couldn't go there or there or there, which is all true. But also there's already a 3 in row 1, so placing it there is maybe not as useful as advertised. Okay. So, by the way, it's probably worth noting, since it's literally the only clue we have left in the puzzle, that this cell needs to be a 7 or an 8, by virtue of the fact that it is 2 and 3 going together. Let's see. Okay, so what else should we look at? I do kind of want to corner mark that there's a 3 in one of these two cells just by Sudoku. It's always a question of what things is it useful to pencil mark, and it can be a little bit tricky. Oh, there's just a pair here, and that's definitely worth pencil marking. What's left in this column? We've got a 9 and a thing. 9 and a 5. We've got a 9 and a 5. That's going to be very useful because this one's the 9. Oh, it's not going to be very useful. Sorry. I thought it was going to be very useful because we were going to put the 9 here and use it to disambiguate that. But that's not what happened. But still, 9 there. We have to put a 5 in this box. We have to put an 8 in this box somewhere. Oh, we have to put a 7 in this box somewhere is actually the most exciting thing. Because 7 can't go next to 3. So, in fact, that's the only place left. And now I've got to put a 5 in this box, and it has to go there just by Sudoku, and the 8 has to go there, which sorts out my 7, 3, 2 over there. I hope you enjoyed having clues, because we're now past the having clues part of the puzzle. Where does 2 go in this box? Not next to the 8. So therefore only there. The 2 in this box therefore goes... Oh. Not next to the 3, and not in the column with the 2, which I did not see, so the 2 goes there. Okay, where does the 8 go in row 1 is another good question to ask, because the 8 can't go next to the 2, and it can't go in the box with the 8, so there's the 8. Okay, let's see. 8 over down here. Maybe not so exciting. Let's see. We do know there's an 8 down here somewhere, but I don't really know anything about it. I do know one of these is a 1. For whatever that is worth. There's a 5 over here somewhere. Let's see. What's left in this row? I know we've got a 5. No, we don't have a 5. Sorry. We've got a 1, an 8, and a 9? That's not an 8. Okay. Well, that was not useful. Let's see. 3, 3. We've got a 3 across here, which doesn't look great. Yeah, this row has left 5, 6, 9. So that one's not a 5, that one's not a 6, that one's not a 9. One of those two is the 5. One of these two is the 5 is maybe worth noting. So there's a 5 down here in this box, I guess, is a thing I could have noted before. know one of these two is a 1. Still don't think that's useful. I've said it a lot of times, but I don't think it's made life better. I guess one thing that's maybe useful is I know one of these two is a 4, because the 4 here looks up. So one of these two is a 4. So there's at least a 4 in there, although that doesn't yet feel grand. Let's see. Do I know anything about 7 in this row? I don't think I know a lot. I know it's not exactly there, because it would end up next to the 3. Let's see. I know 8 is in... Actually, 8 is in one of these 2 places. Okay, so this 8 looks down here at this box. And it's not next to the 2. So the 8 ends up in one of these 2 cells, I suppose. I guess I also could have done that just by Sudoku, couldn't I? Probably. We don't talk about it. One of these two is definitely a 3. Let's see. 4 in this column, I notice, is actually locked into 2 places, because those two can't be 4 by the negative constraint. So either that's 4 or that's 4. Which is weird, but I think correct. What do I have left to place in this column? I have to place a 1 in this column somewhere. And a 9. And the 1 and 9 don't go there. So at least here's one thing I can say. 2 of these 3 cells are 1 9s. And it's not these two, because 1 and 9 can't go next to each other. So this cell's always a 1 or a 9. Which I don't think is incredibly useful, I'm afraid, but we'll do our best. 2 is placed in row 8. How have I not seen that? And I guess these puzzles are just tricky to scan. It doesn't go in any of these cells, and it doesn't go there because there's a 2 in the column. So in fact, that's a 2, which guarantees me one of these 2 is a 2 for what it's worth. It means that this row only has a few things left, which are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, yeah. So okay, so there's so this cell can only be a 6. Because if this cell is not a 6, then these are a 1, 4 pair, and there should be a V between them. So that's a 6, a 4, and a 1, which makes that a 1 for the row. These are 3, 4, and 5. That one's not a 4. That one's not a 4 either, actually, because that would be next to that. So that one is the 4. Okay, and let's see. And what is this triple? These are 6, 7, and no, not 7. 6, 8, and 9. Sorry. It's not an 8. This one's not a 6. That one's not a 9, owing to the fact that 9 plus 1 is too many. Okay. One of these is a 2. This 4 actually tells me that's not a 6 either. So in fact, that's a 9, that's an 8, and that's a 6, is what we get out of that. What about these? We got 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That one's not a 9. I guess I know one of these two is an 8. Let's see. What else can I do? Just making sure I didn't miss any negative constraints down here, which I absolutely did, because that can't be a 9 next to a 1. Like that. So there is a 9 over here. Two, two. So one of these is a 2, and it's not that one. Okay, so I can at least corner mark if I look at where the 2 goes in this box, it can only go to one of these two because it can't go next to the 3. So one of these two is a 2. And now I get my Zackwing action because these 2s align in rows 5 and 6, basically meaning that the 2 in box 5 and the 2 in box 6 claim the 2s that go in row 5 and row 6. So the 2 in row 4 is now locked over into this box. Or framed the other way around, where does the 2 go in row 4? Well, it goes in one of these 2 cells and not the one presumably in a column with a 2 in it, so that's the 2. Let's see. 3, okay, so these are 4, 6, 7, and 9. I don't really want to mark that. I mean, these aren't 4, 6 for whatever it's worth, but oh, it's not a 4. Okay. I was trying to figure out where 8 went in this box, but there's already an 8 in the box, so I should probably not try that. Yeah, I don't think this 2 is going to be incredibly useful, at least not at first blush. I might, and this is for puzzles like this where there's a lot more sort of eliminations like anti-knight stuff and negative constraint stuff, I might be more willing to pencil mark 4 digits into something. So this column is missing 1 and 9 and 5 and 6. And the reason why I'm more willing is because it can turn out that something is a naked single a lot more easily. So, for example, this could never be a 1 because it would be next to a 4. If this was a 9, that would have to be a 4, but I think that's okay. Okay, this was not the most ringing endorsement for aggressive pencil marking, because it did not, I think, yield us any immediate fruit, but we'll pretend it will be useful later. Yeah, I guess the 4 in this box is only in one of these 2 cells, huh? I don't know that that's an incredibly useful observation, but I think it is a true observation. I don't know. Would you rather have true and useless or useful and false? Probably true and useless is better, right? Let's see. I do know there's a 1. Okay, I can do it. Okay. Where does 1 go in box 4? And the answer is it is in one of these 2 cells. And no matter which of these 2 cells is the 1, that one can never be a 9. So that is a 5 and a 6. This is a 1 or a 9. Let's see. So now where do the 1 and 9 go in this box now? And so the 1 and 9 in this box can't both go here. And this isn't 1 or 9 because it looks at both of them. They can't go here because they can't go next to each other. So therefore, one of the 1 and the 9 has to go here. So it's the 1 in this particular instance. And so we get a 6, 9 in this cell. Sorry, 6, 9. 3, these are a 4 and a 7. The 4 can't go next to the 6, so actually it's a 7 and a 4. Let's see, this can't be a 5 anymore, so this is an 8 or a 9. Okay, so that got us a lot of stuff. Is that going to make anything more clear in my universe? Feels like it might do something someday. see, there's definitely an 8 in one of these. Let's see, there's 4 things across here. It didn't work out well last time. I'll level with you. Maybe this time marking 4 cells will be useful. So these are from 2, 3, 4, 5, and not 6, 7, 8, or 9. So these are from 2, 3, 4, 5. So we'll take out the things that they can't be just by Sudoku. And then we'll look and we'll hope for better things. So like this can't be a 3 because it can't go next to a 7. If this is a 3, that's not a 2. I mean, these aren't a 2-3 pair, but maybe that's not super useful. These aren't a 3-3 pair. Okay, so maybe this was, again, not maximally useful. I know one of these two is a 2, so this can't be a 3, but this also couldn't be a 3 because of that. Oh. No, never mind, sorry. When I thought there was a 6 in these cells, I was going to use that to place the 6 in box 3, but it turns out I cannot do that. Well, let's not be deterred. Let's pencil mark box 3. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. We need a 5, 6, 7, and 9. These aren't 5, apparently. That one's not a 9. This one's not a 7 either, because it's next to a 3. So in fact, that's a 6. This one's also not a 7, because it's next to a 3. So that's a 5, 9 pair, and that's a 7. Okay, that was actually profitable that time. My 5, 9 pair looks across here, making that a 6 and that a 9. So that's a 5 and that's a 6. 3 and 5. No 5. No 5. That is a 3 now. Okay, this being a 3 means that's not a 2. So that's a 4 and that's a 2 and that's a 3. A 2 and a 5. And an 8 and a 9 and a 5 and a 9. Okay, so suddenly it felt like the grid was basically empty. We pencil marked this box and now the puzzle's basically done, which is how these things often go. I seem to need a 3 in this box, and it seems by my corner mark to go here. So therefore, this seems to be a 6. One of these is a 4, and it's that one. It's a 7. This row needs a 1, and it can't go next to the 9. And a 5. Notice 5s don't have any restrictions placed on them by the negative constraint. So the 5 is the least useful digit in this puzzle. I won't comment on whether it is or isn't the least useful digit in every puzzle type, but I'll just comment on it for now, so just as a note. Let's see, so we've got the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We need a 7 and an 8, and they go in that order. That's the 1 for the column. We've got a 7 and an 8 to place here. Sums to 15 are allowed in this puzzle. Let's see, we need a 4 and a 2. No. Good that it's not a 2, because it would be next to an 8, and that would cause all sorts of problems. We need a 9. There we go. Very nice. So I will say negative constraint puzzles are quite divisive. I like them now and then, so I quite enjoyed this. If you love them, there are lots of them, and there is we'll say, smallish group of people who really get into them, and you can find more of them. Then there are a lot of people who look at this and do this and go, I'll never, ever, ever want to do this again, in which case, well, good news, no one will make you, so you can avoid it. So if you like them, if you've discovered this and you want to find more, you can definitely find plenty more negative constraint puzzles out there. I find them enjoyable, again, in small quantities for me. I'm probably like the rare person who's maybe like down the middle for negative constraint puzzles, but if you love them, go hog wild and solve all of them. But that's all for today. Do leave a comment. Tell us if you enjoyed this puzzle, if you like negative constraint puzzles, if they're your favorite, your least favorite, or whatever. You can leave a thumbs up on the video. You can subscribe. And if you're feeling particularly generous, you can leave a donation. We greatly appreciate our Patreon members, as well as those who give once on Ko-fi or with Super Chats or any of the other various ways available to you. We like money, so you can find descriptions or find links in the description to various ways that you can give us money because, well, we like money. It makes us happy. What can I say? But that's all for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.